stake in Commerce Forever Solutions, a B2B e-commerce operations firm. Ampivo AI will be deploying advanced predictive AI technology in Commerce Forever Solutions to enable long-term cost optimization.
Skill-based training and higher education platform Mversity secures $5 million in pre-Series A round led by Z47 and Lightspeed with participation from Ulterior Capital and Innovin Capital. The company is on track to end the current financial year with 75-plus campuses.
Tesla's profits plunge over 70% amid heightened competition and a backlash over Elon Musk's role in Trump administration. Musk says he will spend less time in his government role. The Tesla CFO says the company is carefully working on an India entry and calls it a hard market.
European Union imposes a $571 million penalty on Apple and a $228 million penalty on Facebook's parent company Meta. Both companies penalized for breaching the digital competition laws.
If Google is forced to sell the Chrome web browser, OpenAI is interested in buying. A top OpenAI executive testifies in Google's antitrust trial where US regulators are seeking to break up the company. A judge has ruled Google enjoys a monopoly in online search and related advertising.
Electric cab service Blue Smart appoints Grant Thornton for a forensic audit. As per Reuters, this move comes after regulatory investigation found its co-founder allegedly diverted and misused funds which were meant to buy cars.
Well, those were the headlines we've been tracking for you this evening. CXO-driven angel investment platform Inflection Point Ventures has announced the launch of the IPV Gift City Fund, a $110 million Category 1 angel fund registered under Gift City's IFSCA framework. The fund includes a $6 million green shoe option and is targeting its first close by June this year. Following the first close, the fund will open for broader investor participation and begin deploying capital into curated early-stage opportunities. To tell us more, I'm joined by the founder of Inflection Point Ventures, Vinay Bansal. Vinay, many congratulations on the launch of the IPV Gift City Fund. To begin with, tell us what inspired the decision to launch this fund under the Gift City framework, and how does this fund align with the broader vision you have for Inflection Point Ventures?
No, sure. Thank you. I think the vision always has been to help startups in a manner that their success rate is 10x, and then it also then helps the country grow. India has been a great investment destination, and I think Gift City allows for a very smooth process for our investors based outside India to be able to invest in Indian startups. The second advantage that it provides is for our Indian investors to also be able to use their LRS limits to invest in some unlisted startups outside India as well. But most of this money will be coming from outside India into India for investment in Indian startups. In terms of alignment to vision, I think we are very clear we want to democratize and make this asset class available to CXOs, which was earlier available to only high net worth individuals. These CXOs can bring their knowledge and their expertise to help startups grow and make India more innovative, while making it far better for the founders to be far more successful.
Sure. Vinay, if you could break down the structure of the fund for us. You have announced a $110 million corpus with a $6 million green shoe option. How do you plan to deploy this capital?
Sure. So our earlier fund, which was an India-registered fund, is also a similar size, which is $110 million kind of a size. So we want to just replicate a very similar structure in the Gift City domain as well. So this money will not be deployed in just 1 year, right? This will be deployed over the next 2 to 3 years. And therefore, will be a mix. 80% of this will be our international investors investing into India.
Okay. You said it will be deployed in the next 2 to 3 years, but I believe you're aiming to build a portfolio of 60 startups a year. How do you plan to evaluate and support this volume of deals, and what will be the ticket size of the investments you make?
Sure. So IPV already has one of the largest teams in India. We are about 200 plus people. Those work on looking at about 10,000 deals in a year, out of which we look at about 50 to 60 to finally deploy. Since the money is going to be flowing into India for Indian startups, it becomes an additional support system within IPV, wherein we anyway are looking at all of these startups in India. Now foreigners will also have an opportunity to deploy within these startups in India. So about 50 to 55 startups will be Indian startups, where we are already looking at it and already evaluating it, enabling it for foreign investors. And another 5 to 6 startups to begin with will be the international startups where Indians can also deploy money in.
All right. You know, the fund remains sector agnostic, but are there any particular sectors or themes that you're excited about for this fund cycle?
Sure. I think we are always focused on the problems and great founders looking to solve big problems in innovative manners. That's how we'll continue to focus on. I think if you look around today's problems lie around healthcare, around climate, Delhi's pollution and pollution everywhere else that's coming up. So these two sectors remain hot. AI remains the third sector, which continues to invite investments, and Indian talent is great on the AI side. Drones and space are other two upcoming sectors where we see huge opportunity. So these five will remain. Consumer will continue to drive India's economy as we are the largest population on earth and a young population, and our income levels are rising. So consumer will remain a constant theme over the next couple of years as well.
Okay, you know, one of the compelling aspects of the IPV Gift City Fund is its ability to tap into global markets, and you touched upon this earlier, but what kind of cross-border opportunities are you looking to explore now?
I think we'll be early to say because we are very sharp about where we invest. Typically, we look at about 200 companies before we pick one to invest in, right? So if it is cross-border, we'll have to be very sharp about what problems are they solving internationally, and even if they are based internationally, can they help India to advance in some manner? So those are the kind of things we look at, but it will be too early to say for now. We are just focused on doing our first close next month.
Sure. But, how does the Gift City framework help you and your investors navigate some of the traditional hurdles of international investing? Also, Vinay, if you could, throw some light on operating under IFSCA brings a different regulatory environment as compared to SEBI. What has your experience been like working with the IFSCA so far, and how do you see Gift City becoming a global investment gateway for Indian funds and startups?
No, I definitely see this as a great initiative, I think, which has been executed very well. I think international investors or foreigners don't really need a PAN or a demat account, to be able to invest in India. That really opens up a lot of opportunities for international investors to invest in a hot investment, target, which is India today, right? So as we are, talking to many of these international investors, they have generally been routing their money through, let's say, tax-free zones, whether it is Dubai or Singapore or Mauritius. I think with this option being available, I think it was a no-brainer for us to be able to set it up within Indian borders, within Gift City, and not set up any of our funds outside. So we are proud that we are working for India and helping India becoming more sustainable, more innovative, while helping also with the forex reserves.
All right, Vinay, on that note, I'll have to wrap up our conversation. Yes, go ahead.
The experience working with IFSCA was great. I think very high quality people, very, very progressive thinking, and very, very quick decisions.
All right. On that note, we'll have to wrap up our conversation. But Vinay, many thanks for joining us on Startup Street. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a good day ahead.
Moving on. On the hot seat, Eloelo has bagged 114.3 crore rupees in its Series B funding to expand into new markets and accelerate its monetization efforts. The round was led by Singapore-based venture capital firm Play Ventures, with participation from new and existing investors such as Kalari Capital, Mixi Investments, Gamescraft Technologies, Griffin Gaming Partners, and others. With this investment, Eloelo has raised over $50 million in funding to date. Joining me now to discuss this further is its founder and CEO, Saurabh Pandey. Saurabh, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street, and congratulations on raising these funds. We spoke last year when you had raised funds as well at that time. So what has been the most successful, monetization levers for you so far, and how do you plan to scale your $60 million run rate goal?
Excellent. The way we've been building this, it's very interesting because it's been monetizing in a manner which traditional consumer platforms don't monetize. Traditionally, you would see a lot of people running ads or doing subscriptions. Eloelo is essentially an opt-in based platform, where as a consumer, you can continue to choose to use it for free. But if you like it, or if you're really enjoying the platform, you could buy our virtual currencies and you could gift creators, you could engage with creators on interactive live streams, which basically helps creators make a lot of income directly from their fans. So think of the meta thought as enabling creators to break the wall and directly monetize from their super fans, as opposed to relying on brands or intermediaries to give them some gigs and make money. The whole thought has been that from 0 to 200 crore run rate, what has got us here is our platform engagement, our localization. The platform is very popular in Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, now launched in Malayalam, Kannada, Marathi, Punjabi, so multiple languages. And now we continue to double down on each of those languages, launch more and more use cases. So creators can now do their own battles. Sometimes it's about newer types of creators. We have astrologers, singers, performers who come live, host their own shows on Eloelo and are able to monetize at massive scale. So the journey from 23 million to 60 million would be about doubling down a lot on what we already do, along with launching more languages, as well as hopefully taking Eloelo international. We are looking at the Middle East. We are looking at other emerging economies and countries where the product is especially popular. Of course, starts with the Indian diaspora and then other use cases. And while doing this, we want to ensure creator growth. So, yeah.
All right, so ensuring creator growth, more avenues for monetization. You know, if we could look at your numbers, you reported a revenue of 4.8 crore rupees in FY24, but your losses also widened to 99.1 crore rupees. But obviously, this was before you monetized and had all of these monetization levers, right? So what's the target for this year and how do you plan to reduce the losses?
All I would say is wait for our official report, official filings. Our losses would have come down. Our revenue has scaled massively from May 24 to March of this year, March 25. And for this year, where we are at, April 25 onwards, we hope to exit at a 500 crore, 600 crore kind of an annual run rate when we reach March 26. And we hope to achieve unit economic profitability. That is at least CM2, CM3 level profitability. That is what we are currently targeting. And then scale it from there. One thing I'm very proud of is the way creators are able to earn a share and monetize at scale. So if we can continue enabling that while still being profitable, it would be great.
So looking at some level of profitability there, you've also raised this $13.5 million, right? How do you plan to spend these funds? What's on the agenda?
So to be honest, we already had quite a few funds parked from our previous 22 million raise. So with that and with this, we feel we are adequately well capitalized. The usage of funds would predominantly be in three areas. One would be doubling down on technology. We have multiple use cases on creator tools on the AI side, right from AI and AR filters to interactions, etc., for them to monetize and create even better sort of live shows. Number two would be our international expansion and the way we are looking at more countries, doubling down on user growth, etc. And number three would be allied use cases. We are looking at possibly more apps in future within the same space. The whole ethos would continue that wherever we can empower creators to monetize and grow at scale, we would want to play in those areas. So these three use cases of monetization predominantly.
Right. And, you also spoke a little bit about international expansion, right? So could you talk to us about the kind of diaspora markets that you're targeting and how do you sort of plan to localize the product for these audiences?
So at this point of time, the first thing we would want to look at is Indian diaspora. So we have so many folks who are living in the Middle East, in LATAM, North Africa, other sorts of Asian regions as well, who speak our languages. Like I said, very, very popular in Southern languages, Eastern languages, other languages. The first use case would be to go to those users and establish that community. Eloelo is extremely popular on local language speakers who love to form their digital communities here. So I think that would be the first thing. And once we see a lot of success there is where we could double down on other languages, which would be typically languages in those countries that are predominantly spoken. But the first step is that help our Indian creators get a broader audience. For that, we would be using AI around transcription, speech-to-speech translation, and many other use cases. So think of it as somebody who was passionate to become a streamer or a creator. They should not be bound by a geography that I can only talk to people in this area. and they should be able to talk to people globally, provided we are able to solve for reach as well as translation, transcription, and other use cases.
Right. And also, what are your key metrics around daily engagement and retention? And how are you continuing to build habit loops, especially around, live content, games, as well as gifting?
It's an excellent point. And let me double down on that in two sort of aspects. Number one around this has been we focus a lot on essentially establishing activation. What that would mean is that because this is a new category creation approach, a lot of users need to get the app, need to get the flows, and need to do the bare activities for them to be constituted as an activated retained user. There's no point just acquiring users and having a leaky funnel. So really sort of being very tight around activation metrics, ensuring that there are multiple live rooms entered. The real number there is around engagement, and how do we get users to spend close to about 30 minutes a day on the platform? That becomes number one that we want to solve. And from then on, it is the paid user journey. How do we sort of convert users from free to paid and then trade up into various cohorts? Over there, our number one sort of use case why we are able to do that so successfully right now is the fact that we are an extremely localized platform. Now imagine, right? Like if you speak Bengali or if you speak Punjabi, and if you like singers, there is a content creator on Eloelo who's singing in your live language. You happen to tune in at 8 p.m., which is typically television viewing hours. But because you are typically mobile first, you would see that live stream, you would enjoy that live stream, and you would want to maybe send a virtual gift to express yourself. So we are working on the virtual gifts as well. How do they become a means of expression? How does the language use case deep down even further? Can we go hyper local there? And how do we sort of create more interactive communities? That helps activation, that helps retention, and that helps free to paid conversion. And gradually our ARPU and other metrics sort of go up. So that's the gamut.
All right. All right. Before I let you go, then the big milestones that you're focused on in the next 12 to 15 months?
The biggest business milestone for us would be hitting a 500 crore annual run rate, along with unit economics profitability. That's the number one.
All right, Saurabh, big growth plans there. Thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us on Startup Street, and we wish you all the best on this journey going forward.
Well, on that note, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up, NOTO Ice Creams and Desserts closes a pre-series round of 21 crore rupees. How does the firm plan to use the funds to scale the business? We put the firm's co-founder on the hot seat to find out more.
Welcome back. You're watching Startup Street. Now, NOTO Ice Creams and Dessert has announced the close of its 21 crore rupees pre-Series A funding round that was led by Equentis Angel Fund. Now, this marks NOTO's largest funding round to date and will support the company's plans to scale production, expand distribution, launch offline stores, and forge strategic partnerships. Now, company is also looking at new product lines and the launch of its own ice cream parlors. For more on these plans, joining me now is Varun Sheth, who is the co-founder and CEO of NOTO. Varun, welcome to Startup Street. Thanks very much for your time here. Before we get to that funding, what gap did you really see in the market that made you start NOTO? And take us through how the journey has been since you started this in 2019.
Thanks so much for having me here. I think the biggest opportunities that we saw why we got into this space was consumers today are definitely becoming more mindful of what they can eat, the calories they intake, the amount of sugar they consume. I think we're all very mindful of that today, right? We want to make smarter choices, better choices, and we want to eliminate certain bad habits that we have. But at the same time, we don't want to compromise on taste. Taste always comes first when it comes to eating anything, right? Otherwise, you just will never buy it the second time. So I think talking to the millennial Gen Z consumer, we realize that there's a big opportunity in ice creams where the legacy brands, the incumbent brands, no one is solving for health in a smart, sexy, fun way. That's where we felt there's an opportunity to come in. We also think data says that India has a very large population of obesity and diabetes, and consuming alternate sweeteners, consuming sugar-free substitutes is on the rise. It's necessary to control this, right? So we felt there's two cohorts of customers, a diabetic customer as well as a younger Indian who's trying to make smarter health choices.
But Varun, a whole lot of companies have that same thinking. They're coming up in this guilt-free ice cream space. How do you plan to capture a larger market? And give us a sense of what your current sales and growth has been like so far.
I mean, I think for us, we've always focused on product first. I think any food brand that you love, you will always have one or two favorite picks that you go there for. And you go back time and time again for consistency. And we believe in giving a great product with repeated consistency helps retaining customers. I think the second aspect is it's a very supply chain, distribution-led business. And over the last 5 years, we've managed to understand frozen cold chain logistics and supply chain far better. And those early inroads have, I think, helped us probably be the top 2 or 3 brands within this realm of guilt-free indulgence. I think those are some of the key factors for us probably being successful. And we closed last year at about a 40 crore revenue, and we're looking at about 100 crore over the next 2 years. Okay. Those are the revenue short-term revenue milestones for us.
All right. Okay, and now that you've got this 21 crores, it is your largest funding round to date. How will you deploy it when you talk about scaling, when you talk about distribution and new product lines? Where will you be utilizing the money?
I mean, I would say it's a good amount of capital, but not a huge amount of capital. So I think we got to be smart about realistically how many things we can do with it. For us, digital first has worked so far. And I think quick commerce over the last couple of years has enabled and democratized distribution. We're in the same freezers and in the same dark stores where Amul and Quality Walls are being sold, being a guilt-free indulgent brand, a healthy proposition. So it's pretty amazing to see that we're in 16 cities using quick commerce. I think we need to double down on ensuring customers can try NOTO for the first and second time. That enables them to make a swap from whatever their favorite brand today is to saying, okay, I'm going to buy NOTO for my daily consumption, and then maybe my other favorite brand for my weekend cheat day consumption.
All right. And when you talk about this expansion, you're also looking at opening your own ice cream parlors. Just give us a sense as to, why you arrived at that decision. What are the kind of sales you expect from physical versus what you're doing through digital? And currently you're in these 13 cities. Do you plan to double down on these, or will you be looking at further, other newer cities to go into?
So I think primarily we double down on existing markets. We have 5 or 6 cities where we're very strong. Some of the other 13 cities, 6 or 7 of them are relatively new for us. I think sampling, product tasting leads to adoption. of and long-term behavioral change from a consumer POV. So being involved at ground level in these markets, for us, relevant places are gyms, pickleball courts, running clubs, biking. We try and engage with such communities and kind of sponsor those events. And hopefully that leads to long-term buying behavioral change and customers recognizing NOTO as a brand to go to.
All right, so you're looking to target the fitness enthusiasts across these cities, but
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just sorry to answer your question on why we would probably have some of our own company branded stores. I think it's honestly being only digital. There are bottlenecks to discovery. There are roadblocks to visibility. It's typically whoever spends the most, whoever bids the highest has the maximum visibility, right? And it's an expensive proposition to only build digitally. So at some point, you do need to have 1 or 2 experience centers, company brand stores where people really know what you're doing, what you're building, and can actually experience it firsthand. And ice cream, I think, is a very social activity to some extent. You don't only buy online for what you keep in your freezer, but you also go out with friends, family to enjoy something nice, right? So that's where the storefront comes in.
All right, Varun, on that thought, we're going to leave it at that, and we look forward to seeing your stores and wish you the best in this venture. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, on that note, we're going to wrap up this edition of Startup Street. Thanks very much for watching, but stay with us. More news and updates will continue on the other side.
एक दूसरा था ना, वो कह रहे थे 2 EP लगा रखे हैं। ये बेटर है?
देखता हूँ, लगा के एक बार देखो, तो फिर उसको चेंज कर देता हूँ। ये देखना,
ये तो वही लग रहा है, वैसे ही लग रहा है।
दोनों ठीक था वैसे।
दोनों ही सेम बराबर ही लग रहा है। डाल दो, कोई भी जो लगा हुआ है वही डाल दो। हैं? नहीं ठीक है, चला लेंगे इससे काम।
चला लेंगे, ठीक है ना, कंफर्टेबल हो?